I think maybe you miss me, eh?
I hate you.
The X-Men universe has never shied away from exploring complicated relationship dynamics between key characters. Over the years, we've witnessed everything from long-term love stories to temporary flings, and one of the most well-known and long-running love stories amongst the X-Men is the relationship between Gambit and Rogue. Although their love affair has blossomed, they have to work with some serious limitations because Rogue's unique mutant abilities make a physical relationship almost impossible. But can a fulfilling relationship function without the physical aspect? Have Gambit and Rogue found a way to touch each other? In this video, we'll bring you all the relevant answers, but before we get into our explanation, we do have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. How long and steady is the relationship between Gambit and Rogue? It's been almost 3 decades since the idea of a relationship between Gambit and Rogue was established in the comics. Since then, the couple has been together on and off, and their kinetically charged passion hasn't wavered, even with all the limitations and complications they have to deal with. That being said, their relationship didn't come without its fair share of ups and downs. Although they have always been one of the most prominent couples in the mutant world, Rogue has been in brief, passionate flings with Magneto, jeopardizing her relationship with Gambit. On the other hand, Gambit is unquestionably her most loyal and sincere lover, and there aren't many instances of him trying his luck elsewhere. Why is a physical relationship with Rogue next to impossible? Rogue is an extremely powerful mutant and a valuable member of the X-Men team, but her powers also act as a double-edged sword. She temporarily absorbs the memories, powers, and other physical abilities of others through physical contact between her skin and the skin of another individual. Although the transfer is usually temporary in nature, the impact leaves a person unconscious or even dead. Thus, it's almost impossible to establish physical intimacy with her because her mere touch would send her partner into a coma or could even kill them in the worst-case scenario. There have been 2 sides to her power-absorbing abilities. Some comic book narratives suggest that her condition is purely psychological and not physical, but in most storylines, she's helpless and her powers just seem to work that way. In some storylines, she acquires the ability to control her powers, but it never seems to stick around for long. How do Gambit and Rogue indulge in a physical relationship? Rogue's insane power-absorbing abilities that we already discussed make it extremely challenging for Gambit to be physically intimate with her. This has been a side effect of all her personal relationships since childhood, and this inability is a touching psychological barrier for Rogue as well. There was a narrative in the original X-Men 90s cartoon where Gambit slipped into a coma after a passionate kiss with Rogue, where Rogue unwillingly absorbed all his powers and memories. This was a major reminder about how harsh the reality can be when it comes to their relationship. Rogue viewed her uncontrollable powers as a curse, but there seemed to be no way around it. There was a brief period during which Rogue temporarily lost her powers, and this allowed them to be physically intimate without any concerns. In the Extreme X-Men story arc, Rogue and Gambit both lost their powers, and while this meant that they were vulnerable, it also allowed them to express their love for each other without any inhibitions. They even moved in together in this narrative, but their powers were ultimately restored. Another story arc explores the time when Rogue gained control over her powers after working closely with Professor Xavier. This marked a major turning point in her relationship with Gambit because now they could touch each other without somebody dying. There has also been implications in various narratives that Gambit was such an efficient lover that the couple could be intimate even without direct skin contact. But even with such exceptions, the usual narrative often highlights how tricky and challenging it is for the couple to show their intimacy like any other normal loving duo. Of course, where there's a will, there is a way, and Gambit and Rogue have more willpower than most people, and of course they discovered a way around her powers. They've attempted special protective suits and have even tried kissing through helmets to find an easy workaround, but these were still far from a normal relationship. To their credit, the couple managed to disregard this major inconvenience and even got married to each other, even though they knew that a regular physical relationship would be next to impossible. They ensured that their emotional connection was so strong that they could endure all the challenges that came their way because of Rogue's condition. After all, some things are more than skin deep. Could the Dampening Collar be a potential solution? Every X-Men fan knows about the power dampening collars that the authorities put on mutants to take away their powers temporarily. It's usually used to restrain uncontrollable mutants, and it's quite effective, working on some of the most powerful Omega-level mutants as well. Although this hasn't been explored in the comic book stories, we believe that this could be an effective tool to have a physical relationship without the problems that come with Rogue's lethal touch. She could willingly put the collar on for a small amount of time and then take it off later. However, the only drawback here could be the potential side effect of regular usage of such a collar. These collars use a concentrated dose of radiation to curb mutant abilities, and regular exposure to such high doses of radiation could prove to be fatal. If only someone like Beast or Professor Xavier could help the couple with a similar device, it would be easier to use. For how many super geniuses the X-Men have on their team, it seems like the gift of a normal relationship would be a slam dunk wedding present. How can Rogue touch Magneto, and why wouldn't it work with Gambit? In X-Men 97, one of the most testing times for the relationship between Rogue and Gambit has been her affair with Magneto. One of the main reasons behind this affair was the closeness and intimacy that she felt because of her ability to touch Magneto without any problems. Over the years, there have been story arcs that explain the impossible, and we have a fair idea about how Magneto is immune to her powers. One of the most popular theories is that Magneto can generate a powerful magnetic field, which shields him from the fatal touch of Rogue. In the Age of Apocalypse storyline, the unlikely couple can engage in physical intimacy after Rogue absorbs the powers of Polaris, Magneto's daughter, who's also known as the Mistress of Magnetism. This made her equal to Magneto in some ways and negated the impact of her touch on him. Even the ongoing X-Men 97 animated series deals with the controversial love triangle between Gambit, Rogue, and Magneto. Rogue seems to be caught between Magneto and Gambit, and she even chooses Magneto over Gambit momentarily because she can't see a realistic future with Gambit. There are brief moments of physical intimacy and kissing between Magneto and Rogue, and while telling Gambit about her past relationship with Magneto, she reveals how he was the only one who could touch her without any consequences. Although she chooses to let go of Gambit for Magneto, she does change her mind, but it seems to be a little too late because in a climactic twist in the 5th episode, Gambit sacrifices himself while trying to save Rogue's life. Marvelous verdict! Gambit is the purest soul among the X-Men. The X-Men characters may be super powerful, but they're far from flawless. The likes of Wolverine, Jean Grey, Cyclops, and even Professor Xavier have their own demons to contend with, and their choices aren't always perfect. Relationships are complicated, and cheating and flings are almost regular occurrences in the X family. In this harsh little world, Gambit proves his true intentions for Rogue time and time again. He is happy with their platonic relationship and doesn't stray from his love interest. Rogue has been involved with Magneto, but Gambit has always been by her side, and this adorable romance has been captured beautifully in X-Men 97. When Rogue chooses Magneto over Gambit in the 5th episode, he accepts her decision gracefully and walks away like a gentleman. Later, when it comes to proving his love for her, he lays down his life in order to protect her and the rest of Genosha. Gambit died thinking that he wasn't a hero and that he wasn't worthy of Rogue's love, but the other X-Men couples could learn a thing or two from the scoundrel with a heart of gold. Don't forget to let us know your thoughts in the comments section down below on this unique relationship and the potential of a physical relationship between the two of them to strengthen their bond. Also, share your thoughts on the recent X-Men 97 series and how you've enjoyed the love triangle between Magneto, Rogue, and Gambit so far, and whether you think any of them are coming back for the next episode. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Otherwise, have a good one, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.